Please. Don't do this." Her voice was barely a whisper, trembling with a mix of fear and humiliation. Sweat glistened on her forehead as she pressed herself against the wall, eyes wide with horror. She clutched the hem of her oversized hoodie, trying to cover herself, as if that could erase what he had seen. Jace leaned against the door, arms crossed, a wicked smirk playing on his lips. His piercing blue eyes burned into her, enjoying the way she squirmed. "I saw everything, Riley." The words slithered into her ears like poison. "And trust me, if I talk, you won't have a reputation left." Her heart pounded violently against her ribs. This wasn't happening. This couldn't be happening. But it was. Jace had caught her in the most vulnerable, most intimate moment of her life. And now, he held all the power. She swallowed hard. "What do you want?" His smirk widened. "Oh, we'll get to that. One favor at a time." And just like that, her nightmare began. Riley's hands trembled as she gripped the edge of her hoodie. She couldn't believe this was happening. Just minutes ago, she had been alone in her bedroom, thinking she had privacy, thinking no one would ever find out her secret desires. And now, Jace, the guy she had been crushing on for months, the same guy who never gave her more than a passing glance, had the ultimate weapon against her, one favor at a time. His words echoed in her mind like a haunting melody. Riley forced herself to stay calm. "What do you want?" she repeated, her voice barely above a whisper. Jace leaned in, his breath warm against her ear. "For now?" His fingers traced an invisible line down her arm, making her flinch. $50, she blinked. "What?" he chuckled. "You heard me. $50. You've got until lunch tomorrow." Relief flooded her chest. Money? That's it, she could manage that. It wasn't ideal, but if that's all it took to keep his mouth shut, she'd gladly pay. "I'll bring it," she muttered, shoving past him, but as she walked away, she felt his gaze on her back, and a sickening realization crept over her. This wasn't going to end with $50, it was only the beginning. The next day, Riley slid an envelope across the cafeteria table. Jace picked it up without a word, counted the bills, and grinned. Good girl. She wanted to slap that smug look off his face, but she bit her tongue. This is the last time, she told herself. He got what he wanted. It's over, but Jace had other plans. 2 days later, a text popped up on her phone. "Jace, meet me behind the gym after school. You owe me." Her stomach twisted. She considered ignoring him, but the fear of what he could do was too great. When she arrived, Jace was already waiting, leaning casually against the brick wall. He didn't say anything at first, just studied her with a slow, knowing smirk. Then he held out his palm. Another 100. Riley's blood ran cold. "I already paid you." Jace shrugged. "Yeah, but keeping secrets is exhausting." "My silence?" "It just got more expensive." She stared at him in disbelief. "I don't have that kind of money." "Then find a way," he said, his voice soft but laced with menace. "Or?" His fingers brushed against her wrist. "We can work something else out." A chill ran down her spine. "Think fast, Riley. I'm not a patient guy." Tears burned in her eyes, but she clenched her fists, forcing herself not to break. He won't stop. He'll never stop, and that's when she knew, this wasn't blackmail, this was a slow, painful suffocation. The weeks that followed turned into a living hell. Riley scraped together whatever money she could, lying to her parents about needing extra cash for school supplies, skipping meals to save every dollar. But no matter how much she gave Jace, he always wanted more. And when the money ran out, he started making other demands. At first, it was simple, holding his hand in the hallways, sneaking out at night just to keep him company. But then, the favors became darker. "Kiss me, wear this, let me touch you." Riley felt like a puppet, her strings controlled by the boy who now owned every part of her life. Every time she thought about fighting back, the image of Jace spilling her secret in front of the whole school stopped her cold. She could already hear the whispers, see the way people would look at her. Slut. freak. Desperate, she couldn't let that happen, but the worst part, a small, twisted part of her still wanted Jace to like her. To see her as more than just a pawn in his cruel game. And that was the most dangerous thought of all. One night, Jace pushed her too far. They were alone in his car, parked at an abandoned lot on the edge of town. He had his arm draped over her shoulder, his fingers tracing circles on her bare skin. "I was thinking," he murmured. "We should take this to the next level." Riley's stomach knotted. "What do you mean?" Jace turned to her, his smirk dark and unreadable. "I think you know." She did, and for the first time, something inside her snapped. No, the word was quiet, but it felt like a gunshot in the silence. Jace froze, his smirk vanishing. "What did you just say?" "I said no," Riley repeated, her voice stronger this time. Jace's jaw tightened. "You don't get to say no, Riley. Not after everything." "Watch me." For the first time in weeks, she saw something flicker in Jace's eyes, uncertainty, but then, he laughed. A low, cruel laugh. "That's cute. You think you have a choice." Riley's hands balled into fists. Her heart hammered in her chest, but she refused to back down. "I do." She reached for the door handle. "And I'm done playing your game." Jace's hand shot out, gripping her wrist. "You walk away, and I swear I'll make you regret it." Riley met his gaze, fire burning in her eyes. "You already have." And with that, she yanked the door open and stepped into the night. For the first time in weeks, she felt something she thought she had lost forever, freedom. But Jace wasn't done with her yet, not even close. Riley didn't go home that night. She walked for hours, the cold night air biting at her skin. Her mind raced with 1,000 thoughts, but one thing was clear, she had finally broken free, or so she thought. The next morning, as she stepped into school, an uneasy feeling crawled over her. The hallway felt quieter. Eyes lingered on her longer than usual, then she saw it. Her locker was covered in whispers. "Slut. Desperate freak. Caught in 4K. Her stomach dropped. She yanked open her phone, her fingers shaking. And there it was, a blurry video, posted under an anonymous account. It wasn't clear enough to show her face, but the way she moved, the setting of her room, anyone who knew her could put the pieces together. Her worst nightmare had just become reality. She spun around, searching the crowd. And then, she saw him, Jace. He leaned against a locker, arms crossed, watching her reaction with a smirk. He did this. Tears burned at the edges of her vision, but she refused to let them fall. Not here, not in front of him. Instead, she turned on her heel and walked away, leaving behind the whispers, the stares, the quiet laughter. But inside, she was already plotting. Jace thought he had won. He was wrong. Riley spent the next 3 days in a haze of humiliation, her inbox flooded with messages. Some guys wanted to see more. Others ridiculed her. Even her so-called friends had started to distance themselves. Her parents noticed her change in behavior, but she brushed it off, locking herself in her room. Jace, on the other hand, acted like nothing had happened. He strolled through school like a king, untouchable. But he had underestimated her. One thing Jace didn't know was that Riley had been quiet, not weak, and she was done being his victim. So, she started digging. Jace wasn't as clean as he pretended to be. He had secrets too, ones that could ruin him just as easily. Late at night, Riley hacked into an old group chat he had forgotten to delete. It wasn't hard. She had helped a friend break into a school database once, and she still remembered the tricks, and that's when she found it. Photos. Videos, evidence of Jace blackmailing other girls before her. Some were worse. Some had lost more than just their dignity. Riley's hands shook as she scrolled through the files. This wasn't just about her anymore. It was bigger than that, and she was going to end it. Jace received an anonymous email the next morning. "We need to talk. Tonight." Rooftop. When he arrived, Riley was already waiting. She held up her phone, her expression cold. "You thought you were the only one with dirt, huh?" Jace scoffed. "What? You got a sad diary entry about how mean I am?" She smirked. "Try again." She tapped the screen. and Jace's own face stared back at him. The screenshots, the messages, the videos, his smirk faltered. "You're bluffing," he said, but his voice had lost its confidence. "Am I?" Riley tilted her head. "Because I can hit send right now. And let's see who the real monster is." Jace clenched his jaw, his hands balling into fists. "What do you want?" Riley stepped closer, her voice sharp as a blade. "I want you to disappear." Jace swallowed. "If you ever come near me again, if you so much as breathe my name, I swear, I will burn your entire life to the ground." For the first time, Jace looked scared. For the first time, he was the one with something to lose. He took a step back, his Adam's apple bobbing as he swallowed hard. "Fine," Riley held her ground. "Say it." His jaw tightened. "I'll leave you alone." Riley exhaled, a weight lifting off her chest. "Good." And with that, she turned and walked away, this time, for good. Jace transferred schools a week later. Rumors spread. Some said he got expelled, others said his family made him leave. Riley didn't care. She had won, but victory didn't erase the damage. Some people still whispered when she walked by. Others avoided her. And deep down, she knew she would never be the same girl she was before Jace. But she wasn't broken, she was stronger, and she had learned something valuable. Monsters only win when you let them, and she would never let that happen again.
Please subscribe, like, comment and share this video. It means a lot to us. Thank you.